Hey everyone, what's going on? The Pocket Moggers here. Today we're going to talk about the Nidoran Male line, my personal favorite of the two Nidorans. Uh, this this one kind of struck a chord with me early on, and I still love this little critter to this day. It's good to be the king. So, Nidoran Male here was the first Pokemon that I ever caught with the intention of catching it to use it. You know what I mean? I saw it and I went, "Yep, that one. Give it to me." I loved the way that it looked, despite how horrible the sprites look by today's standards. Gender differences are standard now, but in the first games, this Nidoran and the other one were the only two Pokemon with genders. Um, and their differences were very radical. Later Pokemon games would introduce gender differences, which some of them can be radical like this, but not so much as to make them completely different evolutionary lines from each other. Nidorino here is one of the first Pokemon that you see in the game. It's right at that beginning intro screen fighting Gengar. Um, Nidorino is a great example of the transition from cute to tough that Pokemon does very well. Uh, when I first played through the game, I didn't get a Moonstone. I just didn't bother to pick one up, and I just thought that Nidorino was the end of the Nidoran line. Was kind of disappointed. It wasn't until I fought Giovanni at his gym that I learned just how wrong I was. This thing is just awesome. Baragon the Pokemon rocks. He is a short king though. He's like 4'7", which is pretty funny. Seeing this tough, I mean, especially that Gen 1 artwork where it looks like it's just going to break every bone in your body, and then he's shorter than Krillin. It's pretty funny. But having said that, this guy's pure aura. The artwork goes hard. He's a villain rival Pokemon. You can get pretty early. You know, he's got that bad guy energy. He's got the speed running reputation from the old days. Nidoking used to be the Pokemon of choice for red and blue speed runs, although that is no longer the case. He is still a Chad. So, the Nidoran male and the Nidoran female lines are found in the same places, but with switched encounter rates, depending on whether you're playing red or blue version or red or green in every other game. The early availability of Nidoking is such a game changer because of how many moves it can learn from different types. You can have a Nidoking with a water type move, two gym badges in. If you know where all of the things that you need are, it can learn electric, fire, I mean, just about anything. And you can get it fully evolved by the time you have reached Mount Moon, which is incredible. And to make things even better, Nidoking really doesn't learn any good moves in Gen 1, so there's no reason not to. Um, Routes that it can be found in, or its line can be found in, include uh, Route 4 in Fire Red and Leaf Green, 9, 10, 22, 23, and the Kanto Safari Zone. Nidoking can be found in 22 and 23. No, I'm sorry, just 23 in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee as a rare encounter. Like I mentioned here for the impact, Nidoking is used by Gary Oak, Ash's first rival, Paul, his rival in the Sinnoh region, Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, and several other powerful trainers. It is often portrayed as one of, if not the trainer's strongest Pokemon. Nidoking has some really cool TCG art. I don't bring the TCG up because I don't really play it, and I'm kind of embarrassed by the TCG given how things have turned out nowadays. But I do love the art on some of them, and Nidoking especially has some great ones. They're fire. It's going to get a 10 out of 10 here. Just it's just cool. There doesn't seem to be anybody out there who doesn't try to make this thing cool when it's sent out, and there's a reason for that. All right, so we definitely aren't getting mogged by the mean here. Nidoking has a great attack stat in Generation 1, but nothing's particularly outstanding. That's true. They're good, but they're not great. However, that will not stop the king here. Um, by the time its stats became generally bad, it gained a hidden ability that made it good. Sheer Force makes all of its attacks with secondary effects stronger at the cost of those secondary effects. Pairing that with a recoil Life Orb immunity, the Life Orb is a move that, or I mean, an item that boosts the power of your moves but costs you health. However, Pokemon with the Sheer Force ability, like Nidoking, are immune to that damage. So you pair that with the Life Orb, and Nidoking becomes a crazy strong special attacker using moves like Earth Power, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Sludge Waves. Got a whole bunch of things working its way, and it's great at what it does. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, simply because the stats aren't really spectacular, even though it doesn't necessarily need them to be. A better speed would really help it out. It had that awesome scrapped Gigantamax form from the Terra Leak, and I don't know what's wrong with Game Freak, what they were smoking. They should have kept that thing in there. That Gigantamax form is mwah, chef's kiss, wonderful. Anyway, 9 out of 10 for the king. All right, so if we take that first 10 out of 10 and then we add it to the 9 out of 10, we get a 19 out of 20. That's pretty spectacular. Nidoking's definitely in the runnings. Will it make it to the top? I don't know for sure, but it'll definitely be in the top 10, might even be in the top 5. Great Mon. Absolutely perfect. Anyway, having said that, I have a question regarding Nidoking that maybe somebody can answer for me. Usually, this is the point where I tell y'all, hey, thanks for coming by, I appreciate you. But I saw and have seen many times a book or a booklet, I'm not sure, in Japan with Nidoking's Ken Sugimori watercolor art on it. And it's advertised on or in the instruction books for Japanese copies of red and green version as well as their guidebook, and I have no idea what that thing is. Does anybody know what it is? Would y'all be willing to let me know? I assume it's nothing too crazy, but I'm just curious. And with that being said, I'm going to close things up for the night. Thank you all for your time. As I said before, I don't own any of the Pokemon stuff. This is purely satirical. I'm just having fun. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Let your loved ones know that you love them. I'm going to see you all in the next one.